And I think that's a beautiful thing about tennis. But at the same time, it's a profession that really keeps. I think I told myself that I wasn't tired enough. And I think, yeah, and I told this to my team that I wasn't finishing the points tired. Of course, I want to give back as much as they give for me. But the obligation first and foremost is to. Yeah, it's always very difficult to it's a difficult decision to retire from a match, I know. What I try to do is just focus on the next thing that I have to do. I try not to think of the big. And the reality is that you just have to deal with it. Like if you're running on 3-4 hours of sleep, like you're gonna play. Yeah, I think Lena is super funny. She told me the advice she gave when I played was to win the last point.
Kim Kardashian, Italian Open, courtside, watching a 20-year-old from the Philippines who grew up on a clay court in Mallorca, and then posting, "We're working on something special." This isn't a tennis story. This is a cultural takeover in slow motion, and most people still haven't noticed what's actually happening. Stay with us, because by the end of this video, you'll see exactly why the biggest names in pop culture are showing up to a sport they've never cared about before. And it all traces back to one person.
It is the 20-year-old sensation from the Philippines, Alex Eala, who's joining us after her 6-4 in the third set victory over Magdalena Freck out on Petrangeli. First of all, congratulations on the win. I watched that entire match. It was really kind of a symphony in three movements, right? You bageled her in the first set. She came back, won the second set 6-4, went up a break in the third, and then you turned it around and won in three. What happened in sort of the last 20, 25 minutes of that match that allowed you to take control?
Oof, I think I told myself that I wasn't tired enough. And I think, yeah, and I told this to my team that I wasn't finishing the points tired enough. So maybe the intensity went down a little bit, and I tried my best to give that little extra push every single point, and it paid off.
That extra push.
Most players manage fatigue. Alex Eala manufactures it. She was winning, and she told herself she hadn't suffered enough. That level of self-awareness at 20 years old isn't common. It's coached. And the man behind that coaching? He shaped Rafael Nadal. But that part comes later.
Which is something that you talked to us a little bit about in Miami. You told us on the desk in Miami that you often tell your team that every match at this level feels like life and death to you. What do you mean by that?
Well, everybody is really good at this level, and anything can happen. And I think that's a beautiful thing about tennis. But at the same time, it's a profession that really keeps you on your toes and is really high pressure, because every single match is a different circumstance, it's a different situation. And yeah, sometimes one match can change a lot for you. Especially when you're changing seasons, or for me in clay, is not my strongest surface, so every match is really a battle.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You grew up essentially at the Nadal Academy, where I believe they have a couple of clay courts,
yes.
And yet, as you point out, you've played very little as a professional on clay compared to how much you've played on hard. Are you starting to fall in love with the clay? Is it a work in progress? How are you digging it now?
Of course, I'm starting to build that relationship, especially at this level, because I've competed in clay definitely many times growing up, but playing as a professional obviously is a different game, I think. This is my first season where I've really done kind of these high-level tournaments. So I did the 500 in Linz, 500 in Stuttgart, and then straight into the thousands, and then Roland Garros, of course. So I'm finding my footing, and I know that I can do well. I'm a much better player physically, mentally than I was last year. And we've really been working hard, my team and I. So I'm really happy with how I played this match, and hopefully, the things we've been working.
She walked into Roland Garros, having done her first ever serious clay swing that same season. No gradual build-up, no safety net of a comfortable schedule, straight into the deep end of the biggest clay court on earth, and she won. Now ask yourself, Who sent her there ready?
Full of clay courts,
yes.
and yet, as you point out, you've played very little as a professional on clay compared to how much you've played on hard. Are you starting to fall in love with the clay? Is it a work in progress? How are you digging it now?
Of course, I'm starting to build that relationship, especially at this level, because I've competed in clay definitely many times growing up, but playing as a professional obviously is a different game. I think this is my first season where I've really done kind of these high level tournaments. So I did the 500 in Linz, 500 in Stuttgart, and then straight into the thousands, and then Roland Garros, of course. So I'm finding my footing, and I know that I can do well. I'm a much better player physically, mentally than I was last year. And we've really been working hard, my team and I. So I'm really happy with how I played this match, and hopefully, the things we've been working on will reflect more in my game.
You're finding your footing literally and figuratively, as it turns out, on the clay. Every time we talk to you, we talk about the crowd support that you receive around the world. It's fairly remarkable. In particular, the Filipino community in every city where you play comes out and gives you immense support. Obviously, that's got to energize you, but does it also place pressure on you because you might feel an obligation to deliver for these fans that come to support you?
Yes, of course. I want to give back as much as they give for me, but the obligation first and foremost is to myself.
Okay.
And it's my journey. I'm really super grateful that everyone, all of these supporters want to follow in that journey that I have. But I owe it to myself first and foremost, and to my family and to my team to give it everything I have, and yeah, the rest will follow, I think.
It occurs to me that you and Joao Fonseca might be having kind of similar experiences in that you're young players on the rise. You come from countries whose tennis fans are aching to support you and do come out and support you in large numbers, even though you're very young. I wonder if you've ever talked to him about these experiences that you two have that very few others have had.
No, not concerning this particularly. I'm flattered to be compared to him. I think he's a great player, and he seems to be handling it really well. But no, maybe that's something I should talk to him about. I don't know.
It'd be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
You've had so many interesting things happen to you in these couple of years since you've emerged on tour. You've been on the cover of Vogue. You've traveled the world. What's the coolest experience you've had, or the most interesting person you've met along this road that you've been traveling?
Of course. Well, aside from all of the really core relationships that I've had that have brought me to where I am today, like my team, of course, meeting Rafa and just, being able to kind of converse with him on quite a regular basis is crazy to me. And, sometimes I'm coached by...
She was shaking to ask Novak for a selfie. The girl Kim Kardashian flew to Rome for was trembling in a room full of athletes. That's not a performance. That's a 20-year-old who still hasn't fully processed where she is. And that might be exactly why she keeps winning.
Everyone will do English first and then native language. Alex, obviously not the way you want to finish the match here, but just talk us through, I guess, how you thought you were playing and the chat you had with Coco at the net afterwards as well.
Yeah, it's always very difficult it's a difficult decision to retire from a match. I know no one likes winning like that, and no one likes losing like that. So nevertheless, I'm really happy with how I played. I'm really happy with my performance, and I hope I can make the best out of the momentum.
You posted about International Women's Day this morning. I just wondered what for you, like how close to equality you think we are in tennis, and what things you'd most like to see to kind of fully achieve that equality.
I'm not really sure how far the gap is between the WTA and ATP, just because I'm not in the ATP circuit. I think the WTA is a great platform for us professional women tennis players, though I think it gives us a lot of opportunity. I'm very grateful for everything they have built for us. given us a chance to become these stars and do what we love in such grand stages. So that's all I'm going to say about it.
That answer was careful, deliberate. She didn't dodge, she drew a boundary. For someone who just became the face of a new wave of WTA fans, that level of media discipline is unusual. Someone trained her to speak in rooms like that, and it wasn't a tennis coach.
Thank you.
Among all mental techniques, what are yours that you use when you play a high-pressure match to stay focused?
There's no technique that I use specifically. I think I've gained certain experience over the years of how to handle these high-pressure situations. Of course, it's taken up a notch when you're playing big players and when you're playing in big courts. So it's a learning experience for me. What I try to do is just focus on the next thing that I have to do. I try not to think of the bigger picture, and I focus on what I can control. Yeah.
Alex, it was such a big difference from your last match with Coco, the tempo from the beginning. What kind of a strategy did you implement to turn the game around and to stay on top of her? And what did you think you did super well today?
I think my focus was really was a big point of my match today and my strategy, as well as the intensity in my legs and the intensity I was able to produce to be aggressive. Yeah, I took those learnings from the last match. I tried to do things differently, better on certain things I can control. I know that Coco is a great player, and she's really going to give you a hard time. So there's nothing much you can do about the other person playing well. So I tried to focus on what I could control. Yeah.
She studied a loss to Coco Gauff and then immediately applied it the next time they met. That turnaround isn't normal. Most players need months to process a defeat at that level. Alex Eala turned it around in one cycle. That's the detail that made someone in Rome take notice.
On the women's side, always did well here in Australian Open, like Lina, she won here, and also Zheng Jun won finalist. And you are with Lina's team in Macau.
Yeah.
So did you guys get a chance to talk about maybe Australian Open, or did she give you some kind of advice?
Yeah, I think Lina is super funny. She told me the advice she gave when I played was to win the last point. But I was able to ask her about some of her experiences on tour, and it's just I'm so thankful to have had those moments, because not everybody gets to talk up close with their idols. And yeah, I hope that
And the moment Kim Kardashian stepped into that stadium in Rome, she stepped into that story. Kim Kardashian doesn't go to tennis tournaments. She goes to moments. If you've never watched Alex Eala play before, go watch the Miami run. Watch how she moves between points. Most players walk. She processes. That's what you're seeing when Kim Kardashian sits courtside. Not just tennis, something bigger. Subscribe if you want to keep tracking this story, because whatever that something special is, we'll break it down the moment it drops.